face the risk of having children fighting each other in the battle for Mosul.
The Iraqi militia is accused of recruiting children from a refugee camp to take on terror in the country's fight against Islamic State. Also to come this hour. The impeachment of Brazil's first female president sees fierce protests and clashes with police as the Senate votes to remove Dilma Rousseff from office. And fellow Democrats warn US presidential candidate Hillary Clinton to distance herself from her family's charitable organisation as the scandal surrounding the Clinton Foundation threatened to derail her campaign. Hello, welcome. It's just gone midday here in Moscow. You're watching RT International. Now, the Iraqi militia is recruiting children to fight against Islamic State. According to Human Rights Watch, it's found that young boys are being taken from at least one refugee camp in northern Iraq to help in the offensive to remove ISIL from Mosul, its largest remaining stronghold in the country. Bill van Esveld, a senior children's rights worker in the region, gave us more details.
We talked to two residents of a displaced persons camp and also some humanitarian actors who all described what happened in one particular incident on August 14th, when two very large trucks were driven up to one of the displaced persons camps. 250 people got on those trucks, including at least 7 and possibly 8 confirmed cases of children. And they were driven to another location that's closer to the front line of the fight with the Islamic State. This is a violation of international law that Iraq has voluntarily signed up to. These cases of child recruitment that we have documented should prompt real oversight, not only from the Iraqi government, but also from its allies, such as the United States, which have been supporting the Iraqi armed forces.
The US has been actively supporting the Iraqi government in its fight against ISIL and is pushing for an offensive to begin to retake Mosul by the end of the year, something Washington has frequently said is a key goal.
We're supporting Iraqi security forces who are beginning to put pressure on the ISIL stronghold of Mosul. And we will not stop until ISIL's safe havens are destroyed.
We share Prime Minister Abadi's goal of liberating Mosul as quickly as possible.
We are working very closely with the Iraqis and with our NATO allies to see to it that Mosul is recaptured and returned to Iraqi hands, out of the hands of ISIL.
We're going to make available attack helicopters in support of the ISF's ongoing efforts to envelop and then retake Mosul, an important capability.
The best approach would be to defeat ISIS's ability both out of Raqqa and out of Mosul.
Well, earlier, Human Rights Watch also documented that Islamic State has extensively recruited and trained youngsters and are now growing fears that children are involved on both sides of the conflict.
اقتحام أو إسناد كان دوري مع جبهة النصرة في المعارك اقتحام أو إسناد يعني مثل أي عسكري بجبهة النصرة.
You can't only look at it in terms of this battle. You also have to ask yourself, well, what would be the longer-term consequences to Iraqi society and to the future of these children and the next generation if instead of going to school and growing up and learning and supporting their families, they are off participating in what looks like it may be a very brutal and difficult battle for Mosul, or any other sort of armed conflict. And if we don't get very clear statements, monitoring, and some action, we face the risk of having children fighting each other in the battle for Mosul.